Morning, grade eights. Yeah, so crazy times. Be doing some work from home, teaching you. I'll be like I've posted on WhatsApp. How am I posting it to you? My first lesson. We'll be working from our textbooks. I'll give you the page number now. We're going to start. Obviously, this is a video, so you'll have time to go and get the page number. I'll be starting with algebra. Now, you'll be freaked out about algebra. I know what you're all thinking. Gabby, Tamron, freaking out now. Algebra, first time, but we've already touched on it with exponents. So now I'm going to be building it or teaching you more and explaining more on what you need to do and how to do it. Please don't freak out. This is just for a time period. So when you get back to school, have all this work sorted out. Put in neatly in your books, so when you get back to school, off the bat we can go back and look at it and I can go over all of this again and just like recap stuff with you. So do not freak out. Don't go and cry to parents and stuff like that you don't understand. We're working through this together. Obviously, if you don't understand, we won't be testing it. We'll be recapping this and doing consolidation again when we get back to school. So let's begin. Forgive me for the camera work, like this is all new to us. So let's just see how this goes and plays out. So we'll be starting with algebra on page 81 in your textbooks. So your textbooks, page 81, is the introduction. Now, there's a lot of stuff here that you might not understand. That's why I've got some notes to help you. All right. So if we look at our notes, my notes are made here. We look at, so now we've been introduced to x, y's, and a's. You know about this in exponents already. They are called, the x, the y, and the a are called variables because they can vary. So if I've got an x, it can vary. It can be anything. If I've got a y, it can be anything. If I've got an a, it could be anything. So basically, where we're getting to algebraic expressions. If I have 4x plus 3y, we don't know what the x is and we don't know what the y is. We know what the 4 is and we know what the 3 is. And as I teach on further, it'll all conclude and make sense to you. But what I need you to know for the start is that if you see an x and if you see a y, if you see an a, these are called variables because they can be anything. We don't know what x is and we don't know what y is. Another important concept to understand is what is a coefficient. So a coefficient, basically, you need to write down these notes. Coefficient means what's in front of or around. Okay, so my examples I'm giving you is when I ask for the coefficient of x, it means what's in front of x. So let's look at the first example, 4x. So when I say what's the coefficient of x, we look at the letter x and we say, okay, coefficient means what's in front of. So what's in front of the x? It's 4. So the answer is 4. If I ask you what's the coefficient of x in this question, or this example for 3x, what is the coefficient of x? The coefficient of x is 3. Here's a little bit of a challenging one now, so integers is back into play here. If I ask you for this term over here, very important when I say term, because I'm going to get to now, when I talk about algebraic expression, there's a whole bunch of terms. When I look at this term over here, it's negative 2x. So what's the coefficient of x? The coefficient of x now is not 2, it's negative 2. So don't forget, remember, this is an important word I'm going to use here. The sign is always married to the number. You'll hear this a lot when I teach, when I'm in class again, telling you it's married. You all forget that the sign is married to the 2. Okay, so the coefficient of x here is negative 2. And here's probably the hardest one, or one of the harder ones that you'll get. And won't be all put in the question. This is maybe for Bryant, but Brian's probably gone ahead of us and Brian's probably going to go ahead of us and start studying way in advance. So well done, Brian. And also, during this time, don't forget to work together. The coronavirus is bringing the whole world to a standstill. So get together. You've got your technology. Talk to each other on WhatsApp, video call each other. Mlando, he likes using his YouTube videos in class all the time, so I'll try and put some YouTube videos for you. I do have some links, but give me some time to work around this because I've got 2 kids and one's sleeping now, so it's hard. I'm going to do this in the night time. From tomorrow I'll start building this out. So let's look over here. This example, this term is 7xy. So they ask you what is the coefficient of x. Here is the x over here. So the coefficient of x is 7y. So it's 7y because it's what's in front of or around. The 100% way of teaching it would be, what do I multiply to x? The coefficient means what do I multiply to? So what have I multiplied this x by the 7y? But for those of you who are struggling, coefficient, what's in front of and around. All right, so that's coefficient. So I've done variable. Variables are just your letters. Coefficient is what's in front of and around. And the last piece I need to teach you before I do algebraic expressions is what's the constant. Constant is the term that doesn't change. So basically any number. So 5, 7, and 10. So let me give you an example of expression. So let's go back up here. You see this expression I gave you here? 4x plus 3y. Now let's go down to the page here. Let's say 4x plus 3y plus 5. So if I ask you now, what is the constant term in this whole expression over here? The constant term will be 5 because it doesn't change. 4x can change because it's this is a variable, so we don't know what this number actually is. And 3y can also change because we don't know what that is because that's a variable. But 5 is constant, so the constant term is 5. Now, I'm going to go on to expressions next, but let me explain something to you. When you see this term over here, 4x, there's a silent multiplication between you. It's 4 times x, which gives me 4x. And over here, this term is 3 times y, which gives me 3y. It'll take some time. You might be very worried now when you saw this, what I just did. It'll all make sense as we progress in this. For now, what I need you kids to do is, I need you on page 81 in your textbooks, on page 81, the middle of the page there's types of algebraic expressions. We're going to start making notes on this now, but just remember it's page 81 because I'm going to start expressions now. Right, let's move on. So before I go on to expressions, we need to know what a variable, what a coefficient is, and what a constant is. You need to know this off by heart. So if I ask you what's a variable, you need to tell me it's a letter. It can be anything. If I say what's a coefficient, it means what's in front of or around. And when I say constant, you must know it's just a number without a variable. All right, let's move on to algebraic expressions. So when I move on to algebraic expressions, I've given a definition. It's a combination of numbers and letters or variables. We like to use variables, not letters, but I know you're still new, so you will say letters that involve additional subtraction. So let me give you an example. I've given you an example already on the previous page. 4x plus 3y plus 5. All right, that's an algebraic expression. All right, so let's do another one. 3x plus 2y minus 7. That there is an algebraic expression. All right, that algebraic expression is made up of 3 terms. 3x, 2y, subtract 7. Very important. I will say negative 7, but I know you kids will get confused. You'll say, why is it a negative? Isn't it subtract? But let's just remember, this sign is always married. The subtractions are always married. So let me look at this. I explained this already. If I multiply 4 times x, you're going to tell me, sir, I can't multiply these two together because they are not the same. How can you multiply by 4? But in algebra, we're allowed to. 4 times x gives me 4x. And that is one term. 4x plus 3 are unlike terms. Now, I think I'm going to get, when I say unlike terms, I'm going to explain unlike terms now. All right, unlike terms is on the next page. Right, but they are unlike. So therefore, I can't add them together. So therefore, I have 2 terms here. So this algebraic expression has 2 terms. This algebraic expression has got 4x plus 3y plus 2. So it has 3 different terms, because x and y aren't the same and the constant is different as well. Okay. Here's a tricky one. If I ever got a 4, and do you remember the distribution law? The distribution law was I have to take the 4 and multiply it in, and we did it without variables. So we did an example like this, 3, 2 plus 4 in your cycle test previously. So it was 3 times 2, 3 times 4. All right. Now here again, this over here is also we're distributing in, but because of the brackets, it's seen as one term. So most of you, I put a little star there, or in the test, if I'd give this to you in a test and say, how many terms are there here? Most of you are going to tell me there are 2 terms, because you're going to times the 4 in, and you're going to times the 4 into the y as well. And you're going to land up with 2 terms. But it is only seen as one term because of the brackets. So just a little note. So yeah, page 81, notes on types of algebraic expressions. On page 81 in the center of the page, over here on page 81, these are important notes that you guys need to take down. So it's got here, what is a monomial? A monomial means that there's only one term. 2x to the power of 4, it's one term. A binomial, bar meaning two, bicycle, yeah, bicycle, binomial. 3x plus 4, it's two different terms, so it's a binomial. A trinomial, like a tricycle, has got three different terms. X squared, x, and x. Okay, here's a nice one over here. When you see it's x squared minus x minus 6, the power or the degree, okay, so the book will call it a degree, so it's squared, right? X squared. Subtract x. Do you remember there's a silent 1 over here? All right, let me write it so I write in my book. X squared minus x minus 6. This over here is called a trinomial. Reason being because there's three different terms. So now you're going to ask me, sir, isn't x and x the same? Right, but they're not the same. Because this over here, this square is going to change it. So this means that this variable over here, x squared, is different because this has got a power of 1. So the power or the degree also doesn't make them the same terms. All right, it's going to... When I finish algebraic expressions, my next page is like and unlike terms that will make total sense of what's going on. But I just need you to know for now, for algebraic expressions, what one term looks like, what two terms look like, what three terms look like. Okay, so back to our book, the trinomial, x squared minus x minus 6 is a trinomial because they're all different terms. Then you ask me the question again, so isn't x and x the same, so it should be the same term? No, they are separated by their degrees. X squared and x to the power of 1 are different, so it's one term, two terms, three terms. A quadnomial, I don't call it a quadnomial, we call it a polynomial. A polynomial is when it's more than 3, so if it's got 5, 6, 7 terms in expression. Let me show you a polynomial. 4x to the power of 4 plus 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 4. How many terms do I have here? 1, 2. Oh, I should be keeping the plus 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. How many terms do I have? I've got 4 terms. So if I've got 4 terms, we call it not a quadnomial, we call it a polynomial. Now in the test, if you do write quadnomial, I'll mark it right, but it's actually called a polynomial. Okay, but you can put quadnomial because it's the same. But we, for years, have been calling it a polynomial. All right, now here's the most important stuff. So that was just my intro, like introducing you to algebra. Right, here's the most important stuff we need to know. Okay, like and unlike terms. In algebra, we can only add like terms. It's very important. It's the golden rule of algebra. We can only add like terms. So like terms have the same variable and degree. The book says degree. If I was in class with you guys, I would call it power. But because I'm recording now, I will call it a degree. But we keep it simple. It's the power. Okay. So for example, 4x and x. These two are like terms. They're the same. So I can add them together. And I'll show you how to do it. I just want to show you that they are like. We'll do adding and subtracting tomorrow. Today I'll give you guys just questions on what is like terms, what are unlike terms, what is constants, what is variables, just stuff like that. Tomorrow I'll give you a worksheet on how to work these things out. So these are like terms. So that's a like term and that's a like term. This example over here, 3xy, this term, and this term, they are all like because they have an xy, and an xy. Most of you will get this wrong because you'll see a -3 there. So you'll say, sir, that's like term, that's a like term, this is not like. No. All like terms are saying are the variables exactly the same? And yes, they are. So that's also a like term. Now look at this example. Now I'm going to trick you. Here's an xy, so it's like, but look at this one. What's different there? You should notice that it's got a square over here. So that's a like term and that's a like term. This is not the like term. So these two are like terms. Let's look at this example. Now you see these dots. We've already come across these dots in exponents. What do these dots mean? You should know it means times. Now, here's where maths becomes more intricate. Do you remember exponents? Yes. exponents. We did this the whole of first term, or not the whole of first term, but it was a big chunk of our last control test. Law 1, law 2, law 3. Remember, x times x gives me x squared, because what am I doing? I'm adding my powers together. Law 1, we add powers together. Law 2, when we have same bases, we minus powers. Remember, silent 1 here, so it's power of 1. And law 3, I'm raising powers. So let's look at which are like terms here. So you have to look at this over here and tell me which are the like terms. Here I've got x cubed. Here I've got a term that's got dots between it. I don't know what's happening here. Here I've got 4x squared. All right, and here I've got 5x squared dot x. So these dots mean times. So what do you think it is? So for this example, I'll show you exactly. This is x cubed. These are cubed, so it's like terms. This is not the like term, and this is the like term. Let me explain to you how. This is x cubed. What's x times x times x? You should know it's x cubed. So that's a like term. X cubed, x cubed. This one, 4x squared. It's not the same because the degree is different. So that's not like. This one over here, 5x squared times x. What's this x squared times this x? It gives you 5x cubed. So it's x cubed, x cubed, x cubed. So these three are the like terms. All right. So, kids, that's what I'm doing with you guys today. Let me just quickly go explain one last time. Forgive me, my daughter's going to come here now, and if she asks me questions, forgive me. All right, so what's a variable? Variables are letters. Coefficient, what's in front of the variable that they're asking you? Coefficient of x, what's in front of? That one over here, I already explained to you. You can just rewind the video back. Constant is just a number. It doesn't have a variable. So 4x plus 3y plus 5. So 5 is a constant. Okay. I always do expressions later. Math teachers will moan at me, or other teachers will moan at me. Just want to open the door for my child. So, expressions, you just need to know what's one term. One term's a monomial, two terms binomial, three terms trinomial. And this you get on page 81. On page 81 in your book. Go to page 81. Page 81 in the book. Take these notes down. Okay. And then lastly, like terms and unlike terms. Remember, when it comes to like terms and unlike terms, the degree of the polynomial, the power, separates like and unlike terms. Okay. And then, so tomorrow I will put up a, video, I'll put questions up now just on what's a variable, what's a constant term, what's the coefficients, and what are like terms. You need to know those concepts. Once you get, I'll give you homework, not a lot of homework, please. I'll give you that now, you do it, ask me any questions, and then I'll start with adding and subtracting of like terms tomorrow. Thanks guys, cheers.